Hey folks, Jonathan here. Late and cold, and been working on getting ready for fixing Bobby's truck for him on Saturday. We're going to try to do it Saturday. Hopefully we don't get rained out. It's supposed to rain, but we're going to try to do it anyway. But you know, he's got to go back to work and make some money and pay his bills and all that good stuff. So I've still been towing, of course. I've just been taking some time to move some things around, clean up. We've got it. I found him a crane for it because it did mess his crane up on the back. It didn't hurt the boom, but it did hurt the upright at the back, and I'll show you on film, you know, when we get ready to do the build. But anyway, so we're collecting parts up here for our build. Someone gave me this a long time ago. This is something someone started to build. This is 1/4 inch aluminum. This is a front plate, and I've also got a mid plate. Grab it here, which is thinner, but still mid plate for a Chevrolet. And what we're going to do is run the front plate to mid plate, and I'm going to run a solid transmission mount, and that will definitely work out good to keep the engine from moving. There's a lot of reasons why people do that. You know, one reason is exhaust manifolds. You can, you know, you're totally open, so you can do anything you want with the header's exhaust. Also, you'd have no engine movement whatsoever, so when you hit the gas, you know, it's transferring the power right to the wheels, and you're not losing anything off engine movement. And then also it ties it all together, like a farm tractor. You know, the transmission, bell housing, rear end, everything is, and transmission's all part of the frame on it. So if you tie all of this together, it's going to do nothing but stiffen it up stiffer. I don't want it moving at all. Where a big truck or something, you know, you want to flex, but I don't want this to flex any. So, and I definitely want to run a solid rear mount, because what happens if you don't run a transmission mount and you just run a front plate and a mid plate, you can break a bell housing real easy because you got all the torque on the transmission. So we're going to run all three, and then as far as I know, I don't have plans to change my mind here, but we're going to see how this front plate works out. It's going to put the front plate right, you know, in front of our suspension. It should work out good, but we'll have to try it. Anyway, I got some parts in. Got the ball joints, and I haven't put them down on my list yet, but I'm going to put the prices on the list. It was kind of funny. I ordered these from Rock Auto. The lower ball joints are Auto Parts International, which I'm not familiar with, but the upper ball joints were actually CarQuest, and like I said, it came from Rock Auto, so that was kind of surprising. And then I got the kits for, I gotta find them. Okay, I got 2 kits for our calipers. We're gonna rebuild our calipers instead of replace them, because they're expensive. They're aluminum calipers, and I'm not sure that they're bad, but they've been sitting for quite a while, so we're gonna go ahead and take them apart, clean them up, and put the new O-ring in and the new dust boot. So total price on the ball joints and the rebuild kits, that's upper lower ball joints, and the rebuild kit for the calipers was $23 through Rock Auto. Now the shipping was something too, but I'm going to add it all together and use it as the same price, and we'll get it down on our board, and then I'll show you something else. Okay, the next thing is, of course, Speedway Motors, and these are our 12-inch rims, blanks. Now they don't drill the holes in it, in case, because you can turn them either way and use them. And as you can see, there's an offset here, but there's about a 4-inch offset down here, and we can go either way with it. This would give us extra room for our caliper rotor on the inside, so we can do our offset wherever we want. These were, I think, about $108 for 2. That was shipping and all. Of course, they offer anything over $99 with Speedway's free shipping. So, but we can get our centers cut out of the rims. I'm getting ready to show you that a buddy brought, and I'm going to go ahead and do them, cut them out tonight. It's late, but I'm not getting anything done, so I need to get something done. Kind of bothers me when I go a little while and don't get, you know, something accomplished. So I'm going to move these rims out of the way, go ahead and get the other ones up here. We're going to take a plasma cutter and cut the centers out, and that's the centers that we're going to use in these. Okay, here's what we got. These just happen to be 16.5, and a little bit of rust on them. They're chrome, but we're going to clean it off and paint them anyway. But we've got to get the center out. The center on this is 13.5. What we need is 12 5/8. So we will be cutting this out, chucking it up, and turning it down enough to actually press in. We'll get it where we need it, and then we'll weld it. All right, let me get these out. Okay, I didn't even take the tire off. I just cut around each weld. Looks like I zoomed in there. Sorry about that. I just cut around each weld, and hopefully we can just knock that thing right out. All right. So there's our center, and we'll turn it to what we need. Now I know it's not going to have the flat, so it's going to be a little bit harder to dial indicate in, but it'll still, as long as we weld it to full amount all the way around, instead of just spotting it, it's not going to give any trouble. Let's see if I can find my tape measure, and then I'll see how much we got to take off. Okay, so looking at this, we're going to be about halfway between where we're at and this slot, so should work out fine. So I'm going to go ahead and get the other one out now. I won't show you that because you haven't seen it, but shouldn't be a problem. All right. Okay, we got both of our centers out, so we can set them aside, and we know we got our back rim set up, ready to go. I think next what we're going to do, because I still haven't made it to the steel yard or to get any argon or Unimix, and I think what we're going to do next, instead of do our frame so we can get our engines down, which I want to do, we're going to do our front end. We can actually come out with spacers on the bottom bracket, which is what they've done on the other side, but we can't go in but so far, so we've got to be careful about how, how far we go and how we set this up. But basically what I plan to do is make a plate for the top side, and let me get the ball joint and I'll show you. Okay, what we'll do is make a plate for this ball joint to actually put it in, and it don't quite fit in between the, it may fit there, but it's not quite fitting in between them, so, but we've got to have a plate to bolt it to anyway, so we're going to figure out what we need to do on it. But I think that this is going to have to be moved in some because of the way the other spindles are. But we'll make a plate with a hole, center hole, and the 4 bolt holes to bolt it in. We'll put the plate on it and get it where we want it. We'll probably have to trim some of this out, and then once we get it where we want it, we'll weld it to it. Then we'll take it off, and then we'll do all our boxing, and we're going to make Delrin bushings, like I said, and drill this out to 7/16 instead of 3/8, and that will strengthen everything up. And when I'm done with these will be as strong as if we build it out of round tubing, and if we box it good and heavy, and go ahead and get some welds on it. So anyway, that's where we stand now, and we'll work on this for a little bit tonight, and then we'll call it quits in a little while. All right. Okay, I'm not doing any kind of technical measurement here. I'm just trying to show you what I was talking about with the angle. Okay, this is basically straight with the spindle, and this is basically straight with the ball joints. And you can see that we've got an angle there. I'm not sure what it is. We'll have to do a little calculating here to see what what it actually is. And I'm thinking that this is probably going to be, like I said, sitting exactly straight. And I've got everything level. This frame is completely level and where we want it. So we're going to check this and see how much it is different. And I really don't want to extend our bottom out any farther than we have to account for that difference. I would prefer to shorten this one, but we can only go so far. So if I go too far on the bottom, and we'll get our tires sticking out too far, and I don't want that. So and this is it's going to stick out pretty far anyway by the time we're done. But we're trying to keep from going too far. So I'm going to get this wheel off now and start doing some looking and checking on this and see about what the angle is on it. Okay, it's kind of hard to tell here, and I can't hold everything at once and do the camera, but if you look at the angle, let me make sure I'm zoomed out here. Okay, if you look at this angle from the upper bolt to the lower bolt, It's the same as the same way as the Corvette spindle. Now surprisingly, it's the same angle coming out to the spindle. I kind of figured that this would have a different angle because of the very sharp turning radius that these have, but it's the same thing. So what we need to do and what we're going to do here is see what we can do about you know, tucking this one in as far as we can, the lower ball joint, and then see, you know, how much we have to move the upper in. And I think it'll work out just fine. It's just going to take some fabricating. I'm going to have to turn a piece out to put the ball joint in here, and you know, we probably put it about level because the ball joint don't have a pivot like this. But if we put it level, you know, when we put weight on it, it's going to bring it up, and the ball joint's going to be closer to being even if we put it, you know, level with the A-frame anyway. So we're going to work on the bottom first, I guess, and then we'll go to the top. So, all right, get the bottom. Let me get the go ahead and see if I can get the spindle off of it, and we'll start doing something, even if it ain't right. Okay. Before I pull this off, I'm going to explain a few things here. Some of you may know, some may not know. Anyway, you know, on the four-wheel drive truck, if you remember right, we talked about casters, positive and negative caster, and to make it easy to remember, positive casters like the forks on a motorcycle sticking out, and negative casters after you've you know, hit a brick wall with a motorcycle, bends the forks back. So that's the angles of, you know, caster, positive and negative. So what we have here when we're moving in and out with this spindle, so just imagine the tire line being straight. If your tire was actually leaning in this way, this would be negative, and then if it was leaning out at the top, it would be positive camber. And then and the way that this usually works, if you got a car that is a race car for cornering, stuff like that, you want negative, and you know, different degrees depending on, you know, your tire wear. I mean, it's going to wear quicker, but when you do a turn, it actually puts the weight more level when you have negative. But the only time that I've ever seen positive that I can think of used was like on a farm tractor where the top of the tire is tilted out. And the reason that they do that is it makes it easier to turn. It don't turn nearly as bad or as hard. And so you'll see that on a farm tractor. But what we want is neutral. We want zero. We want no positive or negative in our camber. And the reason being is it'll actually roll a lot easier, and you won't have to worry about any kind of tire drag in any way. And that's what we're shooting for. So we can't really set this one up at zero, and the reason I say that, because when you build a car or you build a drag car, you build, you know, anything with the front end, you want to set it, just build everything to zero, and then, you know, put it on a front end machine and line it up where you want it. But I can't go to zero because this A-frame has no spacers in it, and it's all the way in. So if I went zero and ended up being off a little bit, I couldn't bring the bottom in any. So what I need to do is build it with just a little bit of negative in it, and that way, build it with just a little bit of positive in it, and that way if I needed to space it out, and when I say a little bit, I mean just, you know, a couple degrees, and that way if I need to space it out, I can space it out to bring it back to neutral, zero. And then if anything changes later, you know, and I need to reline it, I'll have a little bit of leeway of changing it. So that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to build this to zero, and what I'll probably end up doing is taking our shock out and bringing this up and to where these A-frames are about level, and that's going to be close to ride height, and we will work with it from there. And because we don't have the weight on it and everything we need on it, it's going to be tough to do it any other way, but that's probably going to be the best bet. And we can probably take it loose from the top, drop it out, and then just let it stick up, and then we'll hang it to where, you know, it's about at ride height anyway. And then we'll actually set this up and get it where we need it. So like I said, we're trying to keep everything the same as it was. And caster we're not worried about on this because we're going to try to keep it exactly what it is. And I don't know what the specs are, you know, on the caster on a, you know, Triumph, but basically what it is this ball joint, as you can probably see, is farther back than this ball joint. So it leans it back, and that's what gives us our positive caster. So we've already got that. So we just want to make sure that we put our ball joints back in the center of the A-frames, and that'll take care of that problem. And of course, toe in, toe out, you know, most people all know what that is. Even on a drag car, you want to be towed in. You know, if you measure it out, which I do all my big trucks myself, I measure it out and go about an 1/8 inch in on the front, toe in. If you have toe out, you'll get what I've always noticed myself is you'll get what I call walking the dog. So this wheel is straight, and that one's tilted out, you know, on the right side or passenger side. And then if you go just a little bit, it'll try to pull and get this one straight. So when you're towed in on each, you know, you don't get that effect. So instead of being walking the dog going down the road, you're actually getting a good straight line. So, but we'll do, you know, toe ins no problem. You adjust it with your tie rod ends. And but for now, what we're going to do is get this apart and go ahead and work on getting our mounts made. All right. Okay, folks. Done the build for Bobby. Got that taken care of. Got his crane on. Got him all going, ready to go and done. Just wanted to show you the day of the build. One of my buddies, James, brought me a set of wheels. Now these are 4-inch wide. I think they're 4. They might be a little bit smaller, 3.5 maybe. But anyway, they're skinnies for the front, Chevrolet pattern, so they fit right on our Corvette spindles. Been laying around a little dirty. Ain't no problem. They'll clean right up. So we've got wheels for the front now. They don't weigh hardly anything, and so we can keep rolling. But I'm gonna focus back on this thing, and we'll get her caught up and get her done. You know, we got everything we need, our centers and our rims, and I've got the front end parts. I'm gonna go ahead and start on that, and I'll show you as I go. Okay, we've got it taken apart here, and we're gonna get started on making brackets to hold the ball joints. I've got 2 tie rod ends ordered. They were pretty cheap, I think $13 a piece. And then we'll have to find a vehicle that has the right threads on it as the Corvette, and to be able to take this inner tie rod in and shaft and put them together to be able to adjust the front end and have the right tie rod end. So that's not an issue. Let me see, sway bar. Sway bar is coming off, as you can see it mounted here and runs right there. That's gone. It's really a sway bar on a drag car. It'll actually hurt you for weight transfer, so we won't need that. We're not planning on taking turns. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end this video because I know it's getting pretty long. I'd already edited the other part, and I'm just going to add this to it. But I'm going to go ahead and get started on our mounts and get our spindle cleaned up, because you know they're definitely dirty from years of being on that Corvette. But we'll see if we can get that taken care of, and you'll start seeing this front end to come together real quick. And then I'm excited about getting this set up, getting some wheels on it, and then getting the we want to get the engine set in as soon as we can. So alright, we're back at this full force here. Alright, appreciate everybody watching. Till next time, bye.